Okay, we're gonna finish off the banh mi bowls. I have been cooking them for 6 hours. It's gonna go off in just a second. I'm gonna take them out of the crock pot and shred them and then put them back in the crock pot in the juice that they've been cooking in that smells so amazing. I have made jasmine rice, which is what our family likes. I have done brown rice like the recipe calls for. I've done Tex-Mati, Basmati. I've done all kinds of different rices with it. It all works. I am working on the sides for it, the things that go in the bowl with the meat, beside the meat. And right now I'm cutting up some Persian cucumber, which I just get the little pack, you know, just the tiny little cucumbers. And all I'm gonna do is cut them up and put them in a bowl. You just cut them into a thin slice. That's gonna go into the bowl with the meat on top of the rice. And what's also going to go into the bowl is some shredded red cabbage, which you can't even believe how much flavor the red cabbage adds to things. I had forgotten exactly how much I liked cabbage and how different the red is from the green until starting to eat some of these Asian influenced bowls. As a matter of fact, we were talking about it. We're going to do Korean beef bowls on Thursday night. So that's exciting. I also have washed another jalapeno, even though we cooked the jalapeno in with the pork. It's been cooking for hours and they're falling apart. I also cut up fresh jalapeno to put in the bowl. And I'm gonna do the same thing I did earlier today. And there's our pork done. I'm going to simply cut up the jalapeno and I'm going to just put it in a little dish that I can let people sort of build their own bowls with. So again, I'm not too worried about the seeds, removing the seeds. Some of them fall out as I'm cutting. Eli and I tend to be the ones that like the heat. And I may have misled you earlier about exactly how spicy this dish is. We have people in our family who like a fair amount of heat and people who like almost none, or who think that things that I find very innocuous are very spicy. So I try very hard to find recipes where you can add spice to it once you do the individual bowls at the table or the individual dishes at the table, but you don't have to have the spice in it to cook it. And this one, even though it has 1 jalapeno per pound of meat in the crock pot, it really doesn't end up being very spicy at all. So I guess it's all relative, but McKenna still eats it.
I love it.
She loves it. I'm gonna dump the seeds that did come out into the sink and rinse my hands so I don't accidentally light myself up. I have also washed some cilantro because I love it and don't think that it tastes like soap.
Only 2 of your kids
I have washed that and used the salad spinner to spin off the moisture, and I'm going to put that in another little dish. But I am going to take out the meat from the crock pot, and oh boy, it has really gotten tender and cooked down. It's basically going to shred itself as I get it out. It's basically going to shred itself. Okay. All right. And I'll show you what this looks like here. The garlic has risen to the top. You can smell the garlic in there, which means everybody has to eat lots of this because it does have a fair amount of garlic in it, but it's good. And this is what it looks like. I'm just noticing that we've got a lot of sun coming in. And all I do to shred it, this is no fancy thing. Just take 2 forks and just shred the meat, which is coming apart all by itself. And as I shred it, I'm gonna put it back into the juice that's cooked into the bottom of the crock pot with the sauce we put in plus the pork juice. It makes it really luscious and yummy. And because I didn't want to make you wait on me to julienne that humongous daikon radish, I went ahead and julienned that. So we're gonna make the sauce to go onto our quick pickled vegetables. Okay, this is shredding up really nice. And it won't take very long to shred, but while I'm thinking about it, since I've already done most of the hard work on the quick pickled vegetable, now that I've showed you what this looks like, I am going to go ahead and put the pickled vegetable together. And in the actual recipe, when you go look at the recipe, it looks as though it's mostly carrot with a little bit of radish put in there, like a 1/4 cup of carrot and then 2 radishes, which depending on the size of the radish, it can be almost the same amount or hardly any comparatively. I ended up julienning the entire daikon radish, which you can see how much this is. And I have this is washed matchstick carrots that I am going to just dump in here with it. And then I'm going to mix up the sauce and let it sit here while I finish shredding the rest of the meat. The colors are kind of amazing, especially with the sun coming in right here while I'm doing it. But, see, it's just a layered thing here. And I am going to just take some tongs and mix them up a little bit in here. Get it distributed a little bit before I do the sauce so that it'll be easier to pour the sauce to all of it. I told you my family loves this part of the bowl, so I make plenty because they eat it like crazy. Okay, the sauce is super easy. For one recipe, it's 6 tablespoons of white vinegar and a 1/4 cup of sugar, and then some salt, a 1/4 teaspoon of kosher salt. And that's for a cup of shredded carrots, and I've done about 2 cups and a lot more radish, but I'm still going to add basically the same amount. I may add just a teeny bit more, but that's the, I'm doubling it, so 12 tablespoons, for those of you who are interested in such a thing, is 3/4 of a cup. And for the sugar, it was a 1/4 cup. I'm doubling it, so I'm just going to put 1/2 cup of sugar, and I keep a 1/4 cup in the sugar. So I'm going to put 1/2 cup in here. And then it's going to be about half a teaspoon of salt. So I'm going to add 1/2 teaspoon of the salt. And I'm going to hit it with my handy dandy whisk. And you just whisk it around until the sugar and the salt start to disintegrate. And thanks, Tracy. It's fun. Just gonna let it. It's still not quite disintegrated in there, but let's face it, unless I wanted to heat it up, I'm not gonna get it all disintegrated into just this much liquid. So I'm gonna do my best to sort of get it all suspended in the liquid at least. And I poured it over my julienned vegetables. Now, the recipe says to let them sit in this for about 30 minutes and then drain them. I think that's so that it doesn't get mushy. We actually like the flavor that happens when you marinate it for longer than that. So for our family, I leave it in there until we're sort of done with dinner and before I put it up. Sometimes I drain it, sometimes I don't. It depends. You just sort of have to feel it out for yourself. But I'm just gonna put the lid on it and put that to the side while I finish shredding the meat. Now I told you this, if you were to do just one recipe of this, it would take you about a minute and a half to shred the meat because it's only a pound of meat. As you know, I quadrupled the recipe, knowing that one, over the course of 2 nights, which I have this planned for 2 dinners, we will eat it. And 2, if we for some reason don't, you can just stick it in the freezer and it freezes well. Okay. Now the thing that I like best about this meal is that you can make it however you like it. Completely customize it to your taste. So if you don't want anything hot on it after you've cooked it with the jalapenos, you don't have to add fresh jalapeno. If you don't particularly care for cabbage, I think personally you'll be missing out on a lot of good crunch and flavor, but you don't have to put cabbage in there. I really hope you'll try the carrot-radish salad because that stuff's amazing. But I don't want to oversell it. But you can really do it however you want to do it. And I have even taken the meat and the cucumber and the cabbage and the carrot radish salad, and I have put it on bread. We tend to like it better in the bowls. Now I'll also show you that there is a little bit of fat on some of this that has not rendered away into the juice, that is just where I can see it while I'm shredding it. So I'm just gonna put that fat to the side. This is a really lean dish, especially if you take the fat off as you're going, which I do, but it is really lean and really flavorful. Sometimes pork tenderloin can be a little bland depending on what you're doing to it. This is not. And when I say you kind of just do it quickly, you do. It doesn't take very long. My oldest especially has decided that if you can have it in a bowl, it has to be a really good dinner. We have a lot of bowl dishes. Having kids that are playing sports or doing after-school extracurricular activities, you know, back in the way life was, you can do this, have it ready, keep it warm, and have people come in and make their dishes as the evening goes on, whoever's available to eat whenever. So that makes it very convenient for everybody. And I find that a lot, especially with the Asian influence, a lot of these bowls are just fantastic for that. And if you've got picky eaters, well, I don't know if they would love banh mi if you've got a picky eater, but if you just build it as pork, maybe they would eat that. But truly, if you have people that one kid likes one thing and another kid likes another, you can, generally speaking, build these things however you would like to have them. And I did it for the 6 hours, even though I had put 4 times the meat in it. And I just want you to see that it didn't make any difference. Even though the crock pot was a lot more crowded, it still got it very tender, and it's all falling apart. Okay, now to build the actual bowl, and it is a bowl, I'm going to get out a bowl to put it in. You just put rice in the bottom, and then you well, I will say I have one kid that usually likes to put everything on top of each other, but you sort of put it around the meat, and I'm going to stir this around in the crock pot to make sure that it's getting reincorporated with the juice, and it smells really, really amazing. Really amazing. Okay, I'm going to put this to the side. Lest I forget my cilantro, I have just, this particular cilantro apparently was grown in very sandy soil, and so it was covered in silt. So I just soaked it, rinsed it off, put it in the salad spinner, spun it around, and got the liquid off. And I literally just tore it off at the top, and you see you have this big piece. And I'm not going to do anything fancy. What I end up doing is just breaking off the biggest part of the stem. I'm just showing you for purposes of how this works. And then when you get it in your bowl, you can cut it up and do whatever it is you want to do to it. But I'm not going to stand here, and I know you've seen people that advocate not using the stem and taking every leaf off the stem. No, not necessary. So I'm just going to put a little bit in this little bowl so that when people come through, they can start to get out what they would like. And wanted to show you that I totally cheat. This is a fast meal because you can cheat. I bought the already shredded red cabbage, and I'm just going to open it and put it into a bowl so that people can serve themselves as they come through the line. Super easy. A little mound of, I put it all in there because I eat tons of it. If we don't eat it all, we'll just put it back in the refrigerator. No big deal. No big deal. Okay, now for how you put this thing together. Let me clear off my space here so we can see what we're doing. And it is the prettiest dish because it is green and purple and red, and it's beautiful. I have hot rice, and I'm just going to show you how we do it. Let me just grab a bowl real quick. I usually serve it in well, I guess they call them salad bowls. I don't even remember what kind of bowls they call them in your pattern, but the flat bowl with the lip, which makes it easier. And you put a little bit of rice, hot rice, into the bowl like this. And the next thing you add usually is the meat. The meat and the rice kind of go on the bottom. So I'm going to dig down in here and get some of the really juicy meat. I usually do try to put the meat on top of the rice because of the juice going down into the rice. So got the meat on the rice, and then I'm going to put some cucumber here on it. Depending on how you like cucumber, the cucumber is a really fresh, kind of crisp taste to it. And the cabbage. I'm going to put the cabbage here to the side. And we've already established, I think, that the carrot and radish is my favorite. So I'm just going to stir around the carrots and radishes to make sure that they've been marinating in all the right places there. I'm going to put some of that in there as well. I like a lot of that. And the cilantro, I'm just going to put a few sprigs of cilantro there because I really like it. And I like the added crunch and the heat of the jalapenos, so I add some fresh jalapeno to mine as well. And you end up with a really beautiful, colorful dish with tons of flavor. And generally speaking, we eat all of it. All the meat, all of the salad. I have to cut up more cucumbers before it'll be all over with. We don't quite manage to eat all the cabbage, but it gets close. If you have any questions, let me know. I will post the recipe. It is a skinny taste recipe. I would also advocate that you go on that site and just surf the site because she's got some amazing recipes that we have loved every single one we've tried. And clearly, you can adjust things however you want to for your family. But this is our dinner, so I'm going to go eat. Thanks for watching.